Welcome to our countdown of the hottest cars of the 70s, the decade that brought you disco, bell-bottoms, and some of the most outrageous, in-your-face, petrol-guzzling metal ever to grace the asphalt. Get ready to take a trip down memory lane with some of the most iconic vehicles of the decade. We're talking about cars that could make your heart race just by sitting at a stoplight. Cars that weren't just transport, they were a statement. A middle finger to the man, a growl of defiance, and a whole lot of style. So, buckle up, grab a beer, or something a bit stronger. This is the 70s we're talking about, and get ready for a wild ride as we revisit the hottest cars of the 70s. First up, we've got the Ford Mustang Boss 302. Now, the Mustang was already a legend by the 70s, but the Boss 302, well, that was something else entirely. Under the hood, you had a 5-liter V8 that was basically begging for a chance to unleash its fury on the tarmac. This wasn't just a car, it was a statement of intent. And it wasn't just about raw power, although there was plenty of that. The Boss 302 handled like a dream, thanks to its upgraded suspension and those fat, meaty tires. It was a car that could hold its own on the track, but it was equally at home cruising down the boulevard, turning heads wherever it went. The Boss 302 was a true icon of the 70s muscle car scene, and it's still revered by enthusiasts today. Next up, we've got the Chevrolet Camaro Z28. If the Mustang was the brash, in-your-face muscle car, the Camaro was its slightly more sophisticated cousin. Don't let that fool you, though. The Z28 was still a force to be reckoned with. It had the looks, the power, and the handling to take on anything the streets could throw at it. The Camaro's long, sleek lines and aggressive stance just screamed speed, even when it was standing still. It was the kind of car that made you want to grow your hair long, crank up some Lynyrd Skynyrd, and just drive. But the Z28 wasn't just about looks. Under the hood, you had a choice of powerful V8 engines, all of them eager to turn those rear tires into smoke. The Camaro Z28 was a true icon of the 70s, and it's still one of the most desirable muscle cars ever made. Now let's talk about the Dodge Challenger RT, the bad boy of the muscle car world. This car was all about attitude. It had a presence that could intimidate other cars just by pulling up next to them at a stoplight. It was big, it was bold, and it was thirsty for gasoline. The Challenger RT was available with a range of engines, but the real star of the show was the legendary 426 Hemi V8. With over 400 horsepower on tap, it was one of the most powerful engines ever fitted to a production car at the time. But the Challenger wasn't just about straight-line speed. It also handled surprisingly well, thanks to its well-sorted suspension and wide tires. The Dodge Challenger RT was a true icon of the muscle car era, and it's still one of the most sought-after cars by collectors today. Hold on to your hats, because now we're talking about the Pontiac Firebird Trans Am, the car that single-handedly made Burt Reynolds a legend. Sure, Smokey and the Bandit helped, but the Trans Am was already a star in its own right. With its screaming chicken hood decal, flared wheel arches, and that iconic shaker hood scoop, the Trans Am was a car that demanded attention. And it wasn't just a pretty face. Under the hood, you had a range of powerful engines, including the legendary 455 Super Duty V8. The Trans Am was a car that could handle itself on the open road, but it was equally at home cruising down the Sunset Strip, picking up admiring glances from everyone it passed. It was a car that perfectly captured the spirit of the 70s, and it's still one of the most iconic muscle cars ever made. Now for something a little bit different, let's talk about the Lamborghini Countach, the Italian supercar that made every other car on the road look like a shopping cart. This wasn't just a car, it was a work of art. A masterpiece of design that looked like it had driven straight out of a science fiction film. With its wedge-shaped body, scissor doors, and that impossibly low, wide stance, the Countach was unlike anything anyone had ever seen before. And it wasn't just about looks. The Countach was powered by a mid-mounted V12 engine that produced an unholy amount of horsepower. This was a car that could hit speeds that were unthinkable at the time, and it sounded like the devil himself was chasing it. So there you have it, our rundown of the hottest cars of the 70s. From the raw power of the American muscle cars to the exotic beauty of the Lamborghini Countach, these cars were more than just machines. They were symbols of an era of excess, of freedom, and of pure, unadulterated driving pleasure. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more awesome car content. Which 70s car is your favorite? Let us know in the comments below.